I truly wish I could blame explosive diarrhea for that interruption. Sorry, y'all. Not only do I have a plumber here today unexpectedly, I also have a new hire I'm working with. So is life when you're working with other people and employees. So, sorry about that interruption. I hope it doesn't happen again, but I'm just warning you. It might, and we might have to cut this stream off. Don't go anywhere though, because I'm gonna try as I might to get my message across to you guys about this bootcamp thing. Now, before this kerfuffle happened in our first stream, I was kind of just easing into it on how some of these bootcamps, a lot of these bootcamps are just not that great. I have about a list of like 6 or 7 that I can actually recommend. All the rest, I would say proceed with caution. There are some where I'm just like, absolutely do not touch. I've been approached by bootcamps in the past to teach for them. There's one in particular, I don't know if I'm going to name names today, but they're associated with various colleges and universities, at least in North America. And they get a lot of publicity, they get talked about a lot and so on, and they're associated with like Rutgers and all these research universities or universities renowned for their research, tier 1 research. But the quality of them isn't on that academic level. And so today, I want to continue this conversation as we started in the first live stream. First, I want to make sure you guys can hear me. I want to make sure we're doing this for a reason. Hello, Vlaslo. Okay, cool. Vlaslo's here. If you're just joining us, we had some technical difficulties and life interruptions. Life happens, who'da thunk, especially during a live stream, I guess. If you're just joining us, though, we're going to be talking about coding bootcamps in this live stream. We have a lot. Why do I say a lot with everything? I think I just want to sound more important. Like, yeah, there's a lot. I know 3 people right now. To me, that's a lot. In my personal network, I know 3 people who are actively in bootcamp. And those 3 are in my Discord. And actually, Bite Size Magic, I'm so glad she showed up for the stream earlier, but hopefully she can pop back on. She is going to a bootcamp. GC is going to a bootcamp. And Craig Wadding. Craig Wadding and GC both have YouTube channels. And if they're here too, stand up, guys. Stand up. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. I have some questions if you're able to answer them. And just, adding your personal insight to this. Let's go to the comments here. We are back. It's true. We are back. Thank you guys for tuning in. TGIF. Hello, Alex. Jay, what's up? Sora Dev, back in business. Rudy Hins, hi. Paradoodle do on the 1s and 2s, taking care of business as our mod. So, let me shut that door there. Okay. All right. Who all do we have in the chat? 27 people. All right. Thank you guys for coming back for this. Gary says, App Academy open, great free course. Vlaslo says, my work hired is in the process of hiring 3 bootcamp grads. Vlaslo, what bootcamp? Hey, Sarah, what bootcamp are these grads coming from? Because here are the ones that come to the top of my head when I think quality bootcamp. And there are quality bootcamps out there. I'm just going to click on that. Who do I want to give love to on this landing page? Tech Beacon, Coding Dojo, Hack Reactor. This is actually this is one that I would recommend. Top tier. Hack Reactor is top tier. App Academy is top tier. Full Stack Academy is top tier. General Assembly. Those are the 4 where I would say you're in good hands. Now, the bad part or the not so good news is that all 4 of those are really selective. As I mentioned in a previous live stream a couple nights ago, App Academy, the most current data I have is from 2014, and their acceptance rate then was like 4%. They're very picky. And that's why they can brag that they, place more bootcamp grads in Google than UC Berkeley, because they give coding tests. And I've taken some of these coding tests, and as a code newbie, this was a couple years ago, it was hard. It was a timed coding test. And I had no idea how to code. So yeah, kind of failed that one. Let's check in with you guys. Sarah said, no, not Coding Dojo. Rudy says, I went to Flatiron last year, graduated August. You know what? Those are the three people in my Discord who are in a coding bootcamp right now are also going to Flatiron. And to be honest, I can't recommend it or not recommend it. I don't have enough information. So I'm hoping some of you students and some of you alumni can really fill us in the chat. So this video is actually Sherry. What's up, my girl, super subscriber, not only a YouTube channel member, but also a freaking patron. How's it going, my friend? How's the ATL? Okay, so Hack Reactor, that's the one that is on my list of yes, but also probably, I think this one's pretty picky too. And the only reason I clicked on this is because it's one of the first results. This video was actually inspired by Sarah. She's a mod over on the RTC Discord. Paradoodle do, pop that link in so people can join the Discord. Fun little community. Back in November-ish, Sarah decided to take the plunge. And she shared her experience on the Discord, so it was really neat to read and keep up with what was going on in her life with the bootcamp. Sarah, if you're comfortable saying, what bootcamp was that? You don't, no pressure. But if you want to, feel free to share what bootcamp you did go to. Sarah went to a bootcamp, and her experience was absolutely effing terrible, dude. Terrible. The curriculum was terrible. The instructors were terrible. And she got accused of cheating. And not only that, it was an assignment that she she was struggling with because she didn't have the resources or the teacher's knowledge to help her through. It was a Python assignment. And she didn't pass it. But then they accused her of cheating, implying that she wasn't even smart enough to cheat. It's just like, wow. I mean, in her stories, like, she has multiple stories. And then so she was trying to get her money back. They wouldn't answer her emails. They wouldn't respond to her in any way. They were totally out of communication. They totally just, wouldn't touch it. And Sarah's been trying to get her money back for months now. And this is not an uncommon situation. This happens every day. There was a recent hit piece on Lambda. Now, I don't trust the media. I have been highly skeptical of them since I was a teen. I have a big interest in media manipulation and emotional manipulation and all this, which all goes to say, this article that I read, I think it was on Vice or something similar, or Motherboard or something like that. Basically, it was a hit piece on Lambda, exposing Lambda for their ISA and how some students didn't feel like they got a quality education. Students with grievances and having problems with schools isn't anything new. So I thought the article did take the approach of a hit piece. It could have been written much better. It could have been more balanced. What's new, right? It could have been much more balanced. But most of these schools, they're not going to provide that value. And I want to tell you why right here. They are not accredited. They are for profit. Now, this is not an issue. This is not strictly an issue in coding boot camps. Whether you're going to, golly, you guys remember that commercial? Get your degree, set yourself free. National American University. They have huge advertising budgets, and they extract as much money as they can from students as possible. They're unaccredited. Read reviews of National American University. They were under some fire. University of Phoenix. These are diploma mill places. Their primary goal, their target is their shareholders. They need to deliver profit. And how do you do that? Well, number one, cut your costs. Number two, charge a lot. And so this isn't just an issue with these coding bootcamps. And I'm not targeting Hack Reactor because, again, I think they're one of the better ones. But if you go to a place like SwitchUp, you will never find honest reviews. Lay Wagon, dude, App Academy, okay. Iron Hack, General Assembly, Hackwagon, Springboard, Udacity, Block, Thinkful, NYC Data, DataQuest, Coding Dojo, Juno College, Flatiron School, Hack Reactor, Tech. I mean, the list goes on, and it's just like a Udemy course where you have these fake reviews, and every course is 4.8, right? The actual quality schools that are smaller, that don't pay for reviews, they'll never make this page. This site, I would be careful. I would be really careful with this site. Perhaps good for just getting, stop this. Perhaps good for just getting some general info, but as far as like reading the reviews and having them guide you, I find the best place, even though it is kind of cynical, in fact, it's really cynical and can be negative a lot, but balance this with Reddit. Wait, did I go offline? What's my camera doing? Guys, I was doing so good with this thing. The little green dot went dark. Balance it with Reddit. That way you can get a little bit of the, yeah, it's so awesome with the, yo, it totally sucks. And then just use your brain. This is where you have to do the work too. You have to use your brain. You have to use critical thinking skills. And I would interview that school. Not just the marketing manager, not just the recruiter. I'm going to share a story with you about my experience with a for-profit school because I've been to a lot of colleges, guys. I've been to many, more than one academy. I've been to numerous for-profit schools. And the reason I was able to go to all these schools and test them out was because I had the GI Bill. So it was no skin off my back when I'm like, you know what? I'm interested in automotive engineering, automotive technology. I'm going to enroll. You know what? I'm interested in creative writing. I'm going to enroll. I've gone to tier 1 research universities. I've been accepted to just about every diploma mill university just for kicks to explore and see what it's about, with no financial impact on me personally. Because that was a benefit that I earned while in the military, and it has paid off so much. I got my master's. I have a few other degrees that I don't use, but that I'm very satisfied with. So during this exploration process, I went to a for-profit school for automotive technology. Guys, the commercials are lit. They are so squeaky clean. You get swirlies for eyes. So it's like, you know, these students dressed in the official uniform of the school. You know, they're with the big snap-on tool kit. They got they're working on diesel, they're working on whatever, in this clean garage, which you never see. It's spotless garage. And it just looks so awesome. And so I enrolled, and guys, it was the wackiest thing. Guys, it was so whack. Like, so when I went to go talk with this recruiter, I don't know what his official title was. He was very slick. He was a salesperson. The people that you talk to when you send that email or you make that call to these boot camps, you're not talking to a headmaster or like the dean of academics. You're talking to a salesperson. Their only purpose is to get you to sign up and sign on the dotted line so they can have your 15 grand. Now, again, there are exceptions. But for the most part, the vast majorities of these boot camps just want that dollar and cannot wait for you to sign. And getting your money back is a real PIA. So when I was going to this automotive tech school, the guy, the marketer, the recruiter, interchangeable words here, he couldn't wait for me to sign. I said, okay. So this school, they had classes starting at 6 a.m. and classes starting at 2 p.m. And I said, there is no way I am getting up at 4 o'clock a.m., driving an hour, and gonna go learn about, you know, cylinders at 6 in the morning. Is just not gonna happen. I need that. We'll do 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Because they did the classes in blocks. So it's like module 1, your first couple weeks you're working on engines. Then the second month you're working on brakes. Third month you're working on alternators, and it just progresses from there, okay? I said, there's no way I'm getting up at 4 o'clock to go study engines and then go balance a tire. I'm not doing that. So I said, I want to pick 2 o'clock. And then he said, well, we're going to try to fit you to 2 o'clock, but It really is whatever works best for the system. I'm like, I need to start at 2 o'clock or I'm not going. Fortunately, it worked out that way, but that was just my first warning sign. So I started going to this school, never saw the guy again. You will never see that marketing person that you talk with in this boot camp ever again, because they're salespeople. They don't need to deal with you once you say yes. So I'm in school. It was a bad place, y'all. It was like bad. I was, of course, automotive technology. Most females, most women, not something that's appealing to them. So I was one of the few women in the entire school. I think there was like 2,000 people enrolled in this school. And literally, I think I saw 3 or 4 women the whole time I was there. It was just like, it was a sea of dudes, which, you know, fine. I understand that. But, so here's my other warning sign. I had to use the restroom because I'm there for 6-7 hours. And I try to open the door to the women's restroom and it's locked. And I'm like, okay, maybe someone's in there, no biggie. So I couldn't get in. I tried getting in multiple times and I couldn't. Went to an instructor. They're like, oh, you need a key. Like, I need a key? Why do I need a key to get in the women's restroom? This is like one of those like nasty gas station type scenarios in a bad neighborhood at 2 in the morning. Like, why do I need a key? So that was just like a warning sign. It was guys, and a lot of the students had issues beyond the typical personal issues. People who were trying to get right, but not quite trying to get right. This school would accept everyone. And this is another thing with these boot camps. Most of them have something called open enrollment or something similar, where it's just like, okay, you applied, you paid the application fee, you're in. Same thing when I went to this for-profit school. Like, there were felons, and I did not know this until I got into the school and I was listening to some of these conversations, because you're learning about automotive tech in the lecture hall or whatever, and then you go work on it. You go to the garage and, you know, go do your grease monkey stuff. So these guys, some of the stuff they talked about, I mean, was absolutely beyond your typical fare, and it made me very uncomfortable. And as a result, I left. And that was largely because the school didn't have any standards. There were no standards, and it was just ratchet. So many people going to many of these boot camps have an experience like that. Now, maybe they're not listening to terrible conversations or being subjected to, you know, just dumb, different, or dangerous scenarios, but they get the warning signs. Sarah O had the warning signs when she dropped out of her boot camp. She wasn't getting the support she needed. She wasn't, they told her to go and watch a Brad Traversy video when she had a question. You're going to pay $11,000? Of course, no one in their right mind would say, if they knew beforehand what the style was, nobody would pay 11, 15, 20 grand for an instructor to refer them to a Udemy video or a YouTube video, or say, go figure it out yourself. Think like a programmer. Mother trucker, that's why I'm in school. It's just, I really get worked up about it because I know numerous people in my own circle and many more outside of my circle, from stories on different forums of people getting taken to the cleaners because these companies are for profit and not for the student. And I want to emphasize just the vital, critical importance of doing your homework and being very choosy. And if something's going wrong, maybe you did do your homework, maybe you interviewed them, everything's checking out, just be on top of it when you're going to that school. And when you hear the warning signs, maybe cut your losses or try to get your money back or something, because what's going to happen is if you stick it out, it's not going to get better. And then you'll really be in debt to that school. You'll really owe them that money. And you're not going to be prepared for a job. You're not going to be prepared for a job. And if you're dropping tens of thousands of dollars, you got to be employable afterwards, or at least have the skills that in a few months after graduation, you'll be a great candidate. The purpose of a boot camp, one of the purposes is to accelerate your learning process rather than learning it alone. And one of the ways that boot camps theoretically accelerate your learning process is by having instructors and curriculum that are catered to you. Having instructors that are able to answer your questions. That was the one reason I wanted to go to a boot camp, because I wanted someone. I have so many questions. You know, I'm just like a constant thinker, and I have questions on the constant, faster than what can be answered online. I want someone face to face. I want to see you after school. I want to see you after this class, and I want to talk with you about immediately invoke function expressions for a half hour until I feel confident, instead of just watching a 5-minute video, writing notes, and saying, well, that was fun, next. If I'm spending 15 grand, I better be getting my freaking money's worth. I better be having my questions answered, and I better not be having people recommend I watch a YouTube video. I can do that on my own for $0. Let's go to the comments. Curtis Davis, I have something funny to share. So last night I was checking out YouTube, just floating around YouTube, and this stream was suggested to me. And this has happened multiple times. Live streams are suggested to me, and I'm not subscribed to them, and it has nothing to do with what I'm personally interested in, but I'm like, maybe I am interested in this. Click. And Curtis, I see you commenting, and I'm wondering if the algorithm is hooking me up with videos that you're watching, because they have all these like the different points in the algorithm to determine what we're interested in. Obviously it worked, because I've clicked on it multiple times now and seen your comments in these videos. So the one last night, this woman was in Texas. She's some sort of entrepreneur. She really likes, she talked about living in Florida and getting moisturized and stuff, but she lives in Texas. Do you know which live stream I'm talking about? I'm not even subscribed to this woman, but I was watching for like 15 minutes. Savage Scientist, Discrete Math and Data Structures, LOL. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate that. We're going to check out the conversation here. Guys, the live chat is lit right now. So I'm gonna just simmer down for a minute or two. I'm gonna look over these comments and I'll read out a few. Sarah said the boot camp she went to was the one showing on my screen. Coding Dojo. Okay. Jay says, my views have changed somewhat now that I'm halfway through, but my original reason is somewhat the same. I've been blogging my experiences as well. Jay Cruz, pop your blog in here. Pop your blog in the live chat if you feel comfortable. I'd like to check that out after the stream. Sherry says, Digital Crafts was a great boot camp and I highly recommend it. They don't have online options, in person only, but DC is one of the more reasonably priced boot camps. Tony says, Flatiron is kind of old school. They still teach Ruby. Yeah, I mean, the Ruby on Rails isn't as popular as it was, but there's still a lot of Rails apps out there. And, you know, Ruby is a great language. I have come to appreciate it more and more, especially now that I'm involved more with helping newbies and recommending stuff to new people. Ruby is a great beginner's language. And if I had to guess, I would think in quantity, thinking in terms of quantity, there are more Ruby on Rails apps out there that need work compared to like Django or Flask. We're talking about Python frameworks. I think there are probably more Ruby framework or Ruby projects on the web compared to Python. And I know some boot camps do teach Python, which is also a great language. And it's not like you're SOL if you learn a language that's other than JavaScript. I'd like to see a boot camp that teaches PHP for backend, but I'm not counting on it. I'm not losing sleep over that. Okay, back to the comments here. Curtis says, even with the GI Bill, everything's open. Everything. Yep. I mean, there was a time where I was applying to like the Tisch School of the Arts at NYU, because here's the thing. I am I like to take advantage. I like to maximize. I am a believer in maximization. So with the GI Bill, and I'll get back to coding boot camps, which is a quick aside, because this is why I was able to go to all these schools. The GI Bill, it not only pays for your tuition and books, it also gives you a living stipend so you can focus on going to school rather than having to worry about doing 40 hours a week at a job, then working around school and combining that and like burning out and stuff. So they give you a living stipend. The amount of the living stipend is based on the zip code of your school. So I said, living in the Midwest, I'm like, it's called BAH, Base Area Housing. Is that what they call it? It's been a long time since I've even referenced that. So it's not BAH, whatever the stipend is. I forget what it is. Anyways, it's a monthly stipend, and it's tax-free. So at the time, the schools in the Midwest that I was looking at, the BAH per month was like between $800 and $1,200. I said, you know what? Let's upgrade. What's something I want to do in a city that has a high cost of living so I can get real paid, as well as a place where I can explore and have some fun. So I was like looking at different places, and New York City has a very high cost of living, and I think the stipend at that time was like $3,500 or something, because the zip code of NYU, Tisch, I think it's Tisch School of the Arts, because I wanted to do, what is it, like videography or something? Creative writing, I can't even remember. I wanted to do it all. But the monthly stipend was like $3,500. I'm like, yep, NYU, I'm going to NYU. That's how frivolous I could be because I had that luxury. And I've burned through my benefits. I've burned through my GI Bill. I have like 4 months left. I'm still waiting for the perfect opportunity to go learn underwater basket weaving. MD Legend, what's up? Danielle said there's like a 1-second blip. Yeah, that was weird. Popk Dodge, is the advertising look like you going to get out there and work for a luxury car company? Exactly. Just going through these comments for a few minutes, guys, and we'll get back to the conversation. Great to see everyone here. 81 people. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Danielle, what's Danielle saying? The very first one I bought was Colt Steele's Web Developer Bootcamp. Covers a wide range of coding topics. Arslan checking in. TBM 5K. Sachotic TV, don't get it confused. Seattle is not a tech city. Tell me more. Tell me more. Seattle's not a tech city. Just going through a few more comments. Mark's Oxen says, is it possible to set up a home environment that mimics the bootcamp's way of doing things? And how would that look like? I've never been in one, so I wouldn't know. Maybe someone has some advice for Marks, because I know some people are doing remote boot camps right now. What's your setup like? So for people who are in boot camps right now, who are doing the remote thing, are they like, how does your day go? Because I read the theoreticals of how these online camps are supposed to go, but how does it actually work? So it's like, okay, 9 o'clock, everyone log on. Are you guys doing like Slack? Are you doing video? What if you have questions? Can you ask the instructor in video, or is it through something like chat? Give us some deets. Bite-sized magic. What's up with that? What are the deets with that? Tomas says, I think it's really hard to distinguish when the instructor should tell you exactly what you should do or just push you to some direction. Obviously, just recommending video is terrible. Yeah, that's a great point, Tomas. It really is a career, and it really is a discipline being a teacher. Having someone know the material does not make them a teacher. No, 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 no. Some of the smartest, let me rewind. Some of the most well-read and well-educated people that I've met over my life are terrible teachers. There have been times where I've just walked away trying to communicate with some of these people. They're highly educated, usually high IQ, but sometimes their communication skills are like really poor. The other thing I encounter too sometimes with people who are really intelligent and really well educated is that they turn into gatekeepers and they use it as a power move, and they're guarding their knowledge and they manipulate. I mean, it's just such a thing. It's like, dude, like, stop being an NMOM. Are you guys on Reddit, like, children of narcissists? So NMOM is this term, like narcissist mom. I've talked with men and women who I've never known, strictly speaking, in an academic setting, and it is like curiously bordering on like NMOM status. Like, why are you treating me like a narcissistic mom? This is weird. I just wanted to know your opinion on CSS. Like, what I'm saying is, being a teacher takes, you have to get educated, and it takes a certain someone. Mainly when I'm a student, the most important thing for me is that I can ask questions. I'm the type to just raise my hand, not interrupt the class, but when the teacher says, does anyone have any questions? I'm like this. I'm like this because if I got up, I went out of my way to go to that classroom. I drove a half hour. I drove an hour. I sat down. I made the choice to read this stuff. I did the homework. I'm putting my eyes on the teacher. I'm putting my ears on the teacher. I did all this stuff, and I'm just going to sit back like this. I visited my friend a couple years ago in Pennsylvania, and he was going back to school. He invited me to come on campus with him. I said, I'd love to. So we're hanging out, and so we're in the student lounge, just kicking back, and he's like, hey, Gina, one of his friends, you going to class today? She's like, nah, I might. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you paid all this money. You bought your books. You got to school, and you're not even going to go to class? Get your butt to class. Like, you got to apply yourself. And so that's with me. Like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to make the most out of it. And going back to that maximization thing, you got to maximize. You'll never have that moment again. Don't waste it on frickin' the socials. The socials don't care about you. And you're the one making the sacrifice going to school and going to class. So, you know, pick the brain of your instructor when you have a good one. They're hard to find. And going through all of these, most of these are just low quality, and they will pick people. Guys, I have been approached by a bootcamp. I even interviewed with them. They wanted to hire me. And I said no because it wasn't I have no doubt I would have done a really great job. And one of my goals over the past couple of years has to transition more into helping people and teaching people and, you know, playing a more of a mentorship role with people when they have questions about this career field or questions about code. I have no doubt I would have been really good at it. But doing my own research and interviewing, when I interviewed them, it was not a good match. I would have been miserable, and I would have felt so bad for these students, knowing that a lot of people I would have been working with, fellow instructors, were just picked off like this because they have 2 years of JavaScript experience. That should be one of the requirements, but you should have a lot of others. These teachers need to be vetted. Not all teachers are instructors. Not all instructors know how to teach. I think that's one of the biggest things you guys got to be careful with. We all have to be careful with applying to these boot camps. Do your research. Check out various sites. Like I said earlier, this switchup.org, every one of these is 4.7, 4.8. You know, most of these are, in reality, would probably get a 2.0. And just to reiterate, this is one site. Maybe you could use it to get some information about the various boot camps out there. Sorry for making people sick, like rapidly, frantically scrolling through this. But this is a big investment. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I am not anti-bootcamp. I have met people where boot camps have really changed their lives. In fact, when I was a code newbie, I went to my first meetup. It was a Women Who Code meetup, and I wanted to go just to meet the community, and also I needed help with my Java homework. I was learning Java at the time. And a woman I met, she had her master's in public policy from the University of Minnesota. Very educated. It's a hard school to get into. The Hubert Humphrey Public School of Public Affairs, I think. It's hard to get into. She had dropped that, gone to a coding boot camp, and she said it was the best decision she's ever made. That coding boot camp, you won't find it on this front page. You know, so there are a few out there that in your local area that most people haven't heard of. There are some good ones there in the local area too, but don't fall for the advertisements. I don't want to name a lot of names because I know it doesn't make any sense to like pick out schools and be like, this one sucks because XYZ. The bigger message is the majority of these should be, all of these should be treated with extreme prejudice. They need to convince you in many ways that number one, it's worth your time. Because how much is your time worth? Now, some of us have lots of time. Enjoy it while it lasts. It's a real luxury. You'll never get it back. Enjoy it. Some of us have a lot of time, so it's not really worth much. Some of us don't have a lot of time, and we can quantify how much we're worth per minute, per hour, per day. I have a base worth per day. And if I'm ever in a situation where I'm getting paid less than that, I know it's not worth my time. I value myself based on daily income and daily gross and daily net. And if anything's not aligned with that, I know, or heavily not aligned with that, I know it's just not a good thing to pursue at the moment. How much is your time worth? How much is your time really worth? There are many ways to answer that question. That's something to really think about. And even if you think you're not worth very much right now, you will be in a few months. Your time is worth a lot, even if you have a lot of it on your hands. I know a lot of us are stuck inside right now. We're probably going to be doing this for a few more weeks or months. We're all hoping it ends soon, but some of us do have a lot of time. Just because you're not doing anything with it doesn't make it unvaluable. It makes it invaluable. It's worth a lot. So take this time to investigate, learn about coding. You don't have to go to a coding boot camp. We all know this. But if you're thinking about going to one, use this time you have to investigate them, interview them. Let's go to the comments here and see what's cracking. Savage Scientist said, I actually found 2 jobs here in Louisiana. I got hired at IBM in state of Louisiana, but the pay is $42K and $45K. Awesome. Yeah, $42K and $45K. Down south, it's real hard to get. There are a lot of places in the U.S., let me put it this way. There are a lot of places in the U.S. where that first job, you're looking at 40 and 50K. That's not horrible, guys. My first job, I did a video about it. I got paid, you'll see the video. Paradoodle, who is my mod, paste that video in the comment box. I did a video, the cicadas are blasting the mic, just as a disclaimer on that video, but I show my actual paycheck. And spoiler alert, it wasn't 6 figures, but that was because I took a job in an area nobody cared about. Like, no one's moving to that city. Nobody is, especially from the coasts, nobody's trying to relocate to BFE to code. So yeah, I mean, 42 and 45 down south for a first year, I really don't think is that bad. Jay had a comment here. Here's my strongest observation so far. I think if you haven't played around with HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript for a while, at least for some months, you shouldn't do a boot camp. That is an excellent freaking point, dude. A lot of these schools will have you do, what do they call it? Like pre-launch? It's like week 0, learn HTML. So you're doing a crash course in web development basics before you even start. Like, it's self-paced. A lot of these do a self-paced course, just the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then that way it helps you get prepped for the actual like protein-rich material. And then it can also help them filter you out. If they're like, oh, you can't handle this, well, maybe it's not a good choice. So it is, like, in a lot of cases, a way to filter out people. But I can see how it is very easy to get left behind. If you fall behind a week, because they're boot camps, you know, they're 8 to 12 weeks generally, sometimes 16. A few are like 6 to 8 months. But if you fall back for a week, or if you miss school for a week, if you decide, you know what, I'm just, you know, I'm not feeling it this week, you're not gonna succeed. And I am empathetic towards students. I am very empathetic towards students who have trouble with this stuff, even when they're in a quality boot camp. This stuff is really hard to understand, and having it crammed in your brain. Like, I remember being just self-taught, and I had the luxury of working I had different part-time jobs at the time when I was learning how to code. So it was kind of flexible, and I would just take big chunks at night. Like, nighttime is my time, and I would take that time to go through all my study materials and all that stuff. But I had the luxury of taking 3 days to figure out, to really understand, yeah, to just figure out the basics. Some days you're just not feeling it. Some days I felt like my head was literally going to burst. I was cramming so much information. There's a course on Udemy I took called JavaScript Understanding the Weird Parts by Tony Alicea. If you have $15 and you want to learn about JavaScript theory, I recommend that course. There are a few others out there that are pretty good, but if you need to save, if you're trying to be a conscious consumer and save some money, yeah, it hasn't been, that's the one course on Udemy that doesn't need to be updated. It hasn't been updated in like 5 or 6 years, maybe 3 years. I'll just say this, it hasn't been updated in years, and under normal circumstances, I'd be like, danger, Will Robinson, avoid, stay away. But this is the one exception. Awesome course. So, I mean, let's take this lay wagon. There is no doubt lay wagon paid to be the first result on here. Guys, be very critical, not cynical, but be critical. Use your critical thinking skills when you're looking at these sites. There is no way lay wagon is the #1 coding bootcamp using any metric. Okay, there's just no way. More than likely, they paid to be on top, and I can't even filter. I can't filter anything here. So the odds are that this site receives payment for placement, which I wish they would disclose. Best data science, best web design, best cybersecurity, best by location. Yeah. There is just no way. Iron Hack, I mean, what? And I want to be clear here, just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that I do this almost full time. I wish I could do YouTube and I wish I could help people full time. I wish I could do RealToughCandy full time. I'm kind of getting there. The numbers aren't there yet, but hopefully in the next couple of months, I would like to just take it to the hilt and work with you guys and share information and share findings and have more guests on and stuff, helping you with your coding journey. But more to the point, I don't know what my point was. I haven't heard of a lot of these. Doesn't mean they're bad, but I'm surprised. You'd think I would, because I do this a lot. Most of these I have heard of, if not investigated, if not know someone who's gone there, or if not know someone who works there. Let's go to the comments. Ooh, the chat is popping. Guys, hit the like button if you are enjoying this live stream. Check out the chat here. The live chat is really lit right now. We're gonna go through some comments here. I'll just be quiet for a minute, catch up here. Curtis said, my first job out of boot camp, $50K. You know, that's not a bad number depending on your location. If you're not on the coasts, $50K isn't bad at all. Paradoodle, where are you at? I need some mod skills. RTC web developer salary vid. All right, thanks for the plug. Yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing my first check and what I actually made, check out that link. Paradoodle dropped in the link in the live chat just now. Scroll up. Yeah, the live chat is freaking lit. This is awesome. Matthew says, thanks for doing this. No problem. Thanks for tuning in. K2020 says, I got accepted to General Assembly. That's a tough one, General Assembly, but couldn't get the financing. Flatiron has given me 3 interviews. Oh, that sucks. Let's talk about this financing thing, guys. Hack Reactor. Let's go to, you know what? Let's go to Google, and I'll show you guys General Assembly. This is a top tier boot camp. Multiple locations, it appears. I feel like all the top tier ones are either in New York and San Francisco, and from there they just kind of multiplied, and now a lot of them do online. How much is General Assembly? Let's find this out first, because this person said K2020 said they got accepted but couldn't get the financing. Let's see what we're working with this one. 20 campuses, 70,000 global alumni, 20,000 expert instructors, 19,000 hiring partners. Okay. Guys, can we talk about this real quick too? One of the benefits of these boot camps is that their networks are solid. They have people in the industry. They have lots of people in the industry. They have a lot of hiring partners. Now, it is true, most places, I mean, let's face it, in these times, in this world we're living in, no one wants a code newbie. Everyone wants to hire someone with 20 years experience who's age 25, right? Younger people are more easy to manipulate. They stay up later working on projects at home. They tolerate more BS. And yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started on some of these abuses in the workplace with younger workers, which is part of why we have age discrimination. People who hit a certain age, they've been around for long enough, and they're like, you know what? This is actually ridiculous that you're asking me to work 80 hours this week. I'm not doing it. A lot of people will just say, you know what? I'm not doing that. I have previous engagements. Employers don't like that when people have lives. Work-life balance. A lot of employers do not appreciate that. And when you're single and in your 20s, people assume that you have all the time in the world and take advantage of that. Oh, please, please, I really need you to fix this server. Yeah. Anyways, how much is this General Assembly? Clients and hiring partners, Microsoft, Google, Condé Nast, Visa, L'Oreal. Guys, this is, General Assembly is a top boot camp. FAQ. Let's get some numbers here, guys. What is General Assembly? Courses. What payments do you accept? Okay. I'm looking for how much this coding bootcamp costs, but of course the numbers are buried. Let me ask you this, K2020. How much was the bootcamp? How much was General Assembly? Because in classic form, there are all these drop downs. I'm live and I don't want to spend 20 minutes trying to find how much this thing costs. Okay. Well, I wish they would be more transparent with that. Let's go here. Software engineering immersive. Different tracks, front-end dev, data analytics. Do you guys say data or data? Because I say both of them. And I want to know which one's more sophisticated. I want to be the sophisticated one. When I say data, data, or data. Okay, $0 upfront tuition. But what is the okay, here we go. Guys, I found it. Tuition and finance. Tuition and finance. 0 upfront cost. They take the GI Bill? That's really surprising. Finally, we got our answer. Full tuition with pay upfront discount. So if you pay upfront, it's $14,950. Wait, my bad. When you pay full upfront, it's $14,500. Otherwise, it's $14,950. Okay, we'll just say 15 grand. This is about the number that I'm seeing. I'm seeing about 15 grand for a lot of these boot camps. That's not an insignificant amount. And because this is the other thing with that accreditation, because these boot camps aren't accredited, they do not qualify to receive federal loans and grants. Like that whole FAFSA thing, you might be able to get like private loans from a loan shark or some other, like, I don't know, what are these student loan companies, Fannie Mae or whatever? You have to take out a loan. This is what gets me too. This is gonna get my blood pressure boiling again too, because I have heard more than once, I've heard multiple times from people and from web pages of these boot camps. One of the options these boot camps suggest for payment is to ask friends and family for a loan. Guys, this video is live and uncensored, and I'm just gonna say it. If you have young kids in the room, mute the video, because this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. This is some dumb ass shit, asking people to ask friends and family when they know a lot of these people are already broke, already looking for options because they're trying to change careers, begging friends and family to spot them 15 grand. Clearly they have never ever had to struggle or have a family that is broke. There is no way anyone in my family, so get this, my family, both my mom and dad are still working. They own their own business now. They've worked their entire lives. They've had good jobs and they've worked hard to get where they are. We still struggled as a family. Life's expensive. Things happen. Life happens. People get sick. People go bankrupt. Like, I don't think a lot of these people get it. Asking a friend or family for 15 grand? Like, dude, seriously. Seriously. That is just like something to just put me over the edge when I see that. When a recruiter or someone associated with one of these marketers, or even the webpage itself, saying ask a friend or family to borrow some money. That's your option for paying for the school? Let's check out the comments. K2020 said, it's depressing. I moved to Maryland from Tampa to pursue this. I guess I'll keep trying to get a job on my own. Man, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I hear that a lot. These boot camps aren't the magic pill. Let's talk about another financing option we've heard a lot, especially with Lambda School. There are a few YouTubers who have featured some Lambda flavored videos. Maybe not necessarily endorsing Lambda, but you know, name dropping them and stuff and having students on and stuff. Lambda offers an interesting payment method, an ISA, income sharing agreement. What it is that you go to this boot camp, and you know what? Let's pull this up. Oops, Lambda School. This is not the only boot camp that offers this option, but they are the one that I think they're probably the most popular one. When I think of ISA and boot camps, I think of Lambda, put it that way. But there are other boot camps that do ISAs. So basically how it works is, yes, the courses cost money. I'm guessing I think Lambda is what, like 11, 12 grand. I could be totally making that up. And I wish it was, of course, this is a sales page, so they're not gonna show you right off. But no. FAQ. Interest rates. We're gonna talk about this in a minute too. What is the true cost of Lambda School for students who elect to use an ISA? Let's see. Let's see what they say. What is the interest rate for an ISA? What is the true cost of Lambda School for students who elect to use an ISA? Okay, guys, are you ready for this one? You ready for this? Lambda School, now pay attention to this. Lambda School tuition is $30,000. Because ISA payments are based on income and the maximum number of payments is 24, any one student who elects to use an ISA might pay less than the full $30,000 tuition of Lambda School. If you do not land, now here's where it becomes a little sweet. Here's your safety net. If you do not land a high-paying job, you do not pay Lambda School anything. If you land a high-paying job, the most you're going to pay is $30,000. If you use an ISA, depending on your income, so this is all, your tuition is income dependent if you elect the ISA option. If you use an ISA, depending on your income, you're going to pay somewhere between 0 and 30 grand in 24-month payments. So what they're saying is, we're gonna ding you if you succeed. That's how I'm reading this. Now, fortunately, let's see. Now they have a little table here. So here's where people get screwed. If you're living on the coasts, if you're living in like San Francisco, any city on East Coast or West Coast of the U.S., even in Canada, if you're living in Vancouver, living in Vancouver is so expensive. Vancouver is so expensive. I would not take a job as a code newbie, as a fresh graduate for less than 100 grand. That's where I think people are getting really dinged, is if you do live in California, if you do live in Washington, maybe even parts of Oregon, if you do live in New York, there's a good chance you're going to get a job offer for $85K plus starting out. If you're a high performer, if you're a high achiever, 6 figures is not unheard of for a first salary on those coasts. Now, if you go to Lambda, you get hired in the Bay Area, which is where a lot of tech companies are. You're going to be paying, they're going to be paying you they're going to pay you $100K plus. You owe Lambda School $30,000. I'm sorry, but that's a ripoff. I'm sorry, but you're hurting people who elect to go work in cities with tech jobs. You're hurting people who are high achievers. So, if you live in the Midwest or something, or live somewhere else aside from these tech hubs, and you're making 50 grand a year, you still pay 17. You're paying $700 a month? Oh my gosh. So what they're saying is that it's 17% of your income. It's almost like a credit card. It's like a new school credit card. What do you guys think of ISAs? What do you think of ISAs? Are they beneficial? Do you see the benefit, or do you think this is predatory? Let me know in the comments. Zizzy says, I would rather do a master's than pay 30 grand for a boot camp. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. My master's is in, I have a master's degree, not in a tech field. And I would rather claim that degree, working on my master's, has been more beneficial to me than a coding bootcamp would. Now, this is just me personally. And the reason my master's is beneficial, I don't use the actual knowledge and research, because when you're working on your master's, I earned my master's with a thesis option. So I wrote a thesis, and my thesis is published. I have articles published in peer-reviewed journals that no one's ever read, which is the case for most of us who have done that and had our stuff published. They're sitting on libraries across the world that no one's ever going to touch. So is the case. I'm not crying about it. But during that process, my master's is in public policy. So during that process, I learned a lot about researching. I had to hone my research skills. A master's is not a bachelor's. And that's not to dismiss a bachelor's degree, but it's a totally different beast when you start working on your master's. I loved researching. I gained a lot of weight because I was on my butt on the constant. But the research that I did and the neurons that started firing when I was doing this research, synthesizing my findings and making it readable for other humans, that is an invaluable skill. And that has helped me not just in this coding thing, not just in software, but in many facets of life. I also learned how to problem solve. Not necessarily technical problem solving that you might face on the job at if you're a full stack web developer or something, but in general, getting things done, solving problems. You know, and my master's program was not $30,000. Once I got my master's, and if I did an internship, I would be making bank at a government job or government adjacent job. And I sure as heck wouldn't be paying my alma mater 100 grand or 30 grand for my freaking master's. For the 2 years that I did go to school for master's, because I had my bachelor's, obviously. But yeah, which is to say my master's was less than this coding bootcamp. I don't know how relevant that is to anybody. Just sharing a story. Let's go to the comments. Bite Size says, I think ISA is helpful for some peeps, are the best sounding financial decision. Like the comments are so lit right now. How do you pause the comments? I think ISA is helpful for some peeps. Are they the best sound financial decision? Nope. Curtis says ISA predatory. Pop K Dodge says, I think it putting the risk on the education side to create an employable student. That's a great counterpoint. That's a great counterpoint because if this school, for example, does not train students who are job ready, the school's not getting paid. So that's something in favor of a school like Lambda. And that is an excellent point. And I'm glad that person, Pop K, brought that up. Pop K Dodge brought that up because there is a pressure to produce students who are employable. Other places don't have any type of job guarantee, and job guarantees are really risky. Promising somebody a job is, before they even met that person, is a fool's errand. That's for fools. Oh yeah, I'll get you hooked up with a job. Just come to my boot camp. Like, really? You haven't even met that person. What if they're a sociopath or have various issues? Some people just aren't employable, guys. And saying, you know, Springboard, Cold Steel, he's doing like a $12,000 boot camp or something on Springboard right now. And there's a job guarantee. It's something like, if you don't get a job after this course, you get your money back. We guarantee it. And it's like, oh, that's a big risk that they're taking. And I think it's something they're willing to take to draw attention to their platform. They're willing to take that risk because there are going to be some people who just aren't employable, or, you know, whatever other reason. They're just not a good match. Some people are going to get that refund. But that is a risk these schools are willing to take because they know it's going to draw a lot of interest, and it's going to theoretically or ideally draw a lot of people who do graduate, and that way they get paid. Go back to the comments here. Great comments, guys. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about boot camps, why to watch out for them, what you need to know in 2020. Are they worth it? We have some people currently in the comments who are boot camp graduates. We have some other people who are currently in boot camp. GC, Bite Size Magic, Craig Wadding. These are all some cool peeps who are part of my Discord. They love to chat. I enjoy engaging with all those guys on the Discord. Paradoodle, pop that Discord link in the comments, please. Paradoodle do, our mod. Thank you, Paradoodle do, for doing what you do and taking care of the peeps in the chat. ISAs, yeah. You know, I am up in the air with ISAs. Pop K made a great point that an ISA does put the pressure on the school to create developers who are job ready. Not necessarily 1%ers, but just people who can do the job, which is not something a lot of other coding boot camps can promise. No, but this is the thing too. If you don't, they're not going to say this on the landing page. It's buried somewhere in here, no doubt. No doubt. If something happens, you change your mind, it's not for you, you're just not feeling it, and you drop out of this boot camp or otherwise don't graduate, guess what? You owe this boot camp 17 grand or 30 grand or whatever. There are some people who are really hurting right now because they decided this isn't the career for them. They dropped out, and guess what? This boot camp, these boot camps are not going to be seeing any of that income that they make because they're not pursuing software. They're doing something else altogether. And so that student's on the hook. Unfortunately, I know people where that has happened to them. If you go to a boot camp, you better be freaking ready and you better be prepared to work in this dang career, because if you don't, you're going to be out 20 grand. You don't want that. You don't want that, especially if you're in North America, if you're in the States. This student debt thing is an epidemic. It's terrible. And student loans, if you're in student loan debt, you can't declare bankruptcy will not erase student loans. After you die, your loved ones are on the hook. They're going to be calling your loved ones, hey, so-and-so owes 20 grand to Fannie Mae or whatever. Like, oh, really? They're deceased. And these bill collectors are disgusting. But they want to collect. You got to be real careful with that. You have got to make sure that this is for you, or be all right with the fact that you're going to be on the hook for tuition no matter what. You're going to owe them. These schools aren't cheap. You're going to owe them at least $10,000 if you don't finish. And that is not a debt you want to be dragging around with you, especially if you put it on a credit card. Oh my God. A lot of people going to these boot camps are career changers. And right now, not in jobs that are sustainable. A lot of us are in dead-end jobs, guys. My whole life has been a dead-end job. I get it. Why do you think I entered this career field? Because my life sucked and I needed something more. Even though I have a master's in public policy, I just couldn't see myself working in a government office. And to be honest, the sad thing about public policy, you have a better chance of changing things from the outside than the inside. No doubt, I can write policy as good as the rest of them. I can craft a policy so good, so good. But I'm not changing anything. And I'm not improving the world by being a crafter of this policy. I'm just implementing it. And if I really wanted to see some changes, my passion is natural resources and the environment. And there's a lot of things that need fixing. I'm more powerful and I'm more effective on the outside pushing for change. So that is one of the big reasons why, it was a big realization, and it sucked, because it's like, wow, I'm getting this master's and it's just like, I'm never going to actually apply it. But, I do apply it in different ways, as I mentioned earlier, with my research skills and just being more educated. It calms me down. If I don't know something, and I'm also highly competitive, so when I see people with PhDs, or see people, a couple years ago when I met someone with a master's, this person was just nasty, but they had a master's degree, and I'm just like, dude, if this person can have a master's, I want a master's. I don't want this person outperforming me academically when they're a scuzzbag. Like, that kind of thing just like gets me going and motivates me to do better, because I don't want to be a loser. I want to maximize. But that's just me. So yeah. Where were we? Let's go to the comments and see what everybody is up to. Popk Dodge says it depends when you drop out. If you drop out early, there's a little penalty, but if you drop out later, it'll be the worst on the student. Yep. Ooh, yes, someone from Discord is here. Athalia. Ah, you told me how to pronounce your name, and I totally forgot. I have the memory of a broken toaster, and I'm so sorry that I mispronounced your name, most likely. But I'm so glad you're here. Bootcamp grad here. 1 year out. Still no job. Guys, listen to this comment here, okay? Bootcamp grad here. 1 year out. Still no job. Living on savings. This is hard. If you do go into a boot camp, suggest being fully educated and able, yes, and able to do algos, data structures, all on your own before going all in. Guys, I'm highlighting this comment, and I need you to read this if you're thinking about going to a code boot camp. This person has been unemployed for a year, living on savings in one of the most expensive places in North America. How do I know that? Because she's a part of my Discord, and we've had conversations and talked about these things. This person is living in a very expensive part of the States, living on savings, 1 year out, still no job. What's her advice? Get educated and able to do algorithms and data structures on your own before going all in. That is golden advice. Most web developers are not learning data structures and algorithms. They can be really challenging. They can look like a completely foreign thing, and they are. They're not something we deal with on the daily. They're so abstract, right? Like, it's foreign concept. Why would you, iteration and all this other kinds of, all these things and these symbols and numbers. You're like, oh, we're entering the math zone. One of the most exciting things about sticking to this career is that I have taught myself data structures and algorithms. I'm no boss. You won't find me on, Code Wars Kata's level 5,000 rocking out the data structures and algorithms challenges anytime soon. It's not my bag. But learning about the different data structures and algorithms and able to manipulate some of these more complex algorithms and being able to see what these things actually mean rather than just looking like a jumbled bunch of characters and numbers. It's not only empowering, it's pretty cool to look at. It's pretty cool to manipulate. And it was something, that whole segment, I mean, it's so critical. It's so critical. And most of us, self-taught developers are skipping out on data structures and algorithms. And I'm going to tell you this, it's going to come and bite you in the butt. Eventually, you will need to know them. Now, there are some people who say you don't need to be good at math. I tend to generally agree with this. However, you can't be terrible at math. It will catch up to you. If you are terrible at math and you still want to be a web developer, my best suggestion right now is to stick on front-end development with an emphasis on design. Data structures and algorithms are what run everything. And to be ignorant of that is a death sentence as a software developer. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you. And I know there's just so much stuff to learn. It's just like, oh my God, seriously, like, I have to go learn this stuff now too, in addition to the databases, in addition to the runtimes, in addition to JavaScript, in addition to Bootstrap and React and all these other technical. Guys, all that stuff is built on data structures and algorithms in the first place. We have to focus on the foundations. What sucks is that most of these Udemy-style boot camps, and they are some really good ones, most of them are not talking about data structures and algorithms. These aren't just things you're going to be facing in a coding interview. By the way, if you didn't see that premiere yesterday, that was such a great video. I enjoyed that so much. Hanging out with Lucen, Michael, and Carlos. So 2 junior developers did a mock interview with an interviewer. Check that video out. Hey, Paradoodle, pop that video in the comments, please. Check that video out. If nothing in that video makes sense to you, don't panic. Everything can be learned. But I do want to emphasize what this person said. I don't want to mispronounce your name again. Craig Wadding's here. Data structures and algorithms. Before going all into a coding bootcamp, your life is going to be made so much easier. Craig Wadding, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Sarah says we did algos, but we were never really explained how to do them. They would just tell us, you will figure it out. Oh, Lord. You will figure it out. Guys, I mean, the comments, if you're not reading these comments, it's right here. It's right here in the comments, these people's experiences with some of these boot camps. George says, where did you learn data structures and algorithms? What course do you recommend? You know what course I recommend? And I've been giving these guys a lot of love. App Academy Open. Okay, this is completely free. This is completely free. I've said this so many times. I waited a year to review this platform because I thought it was going to suck. But this is their free plan, okay? They have a big section on data structures and algorithms. And what's nice about it is that it's foundational, it's academic, the instructor knows what he's talking about, and you have time to review the videos. One thing I had a hard time with when I was first learning data structures and algorithms was just reading it, because they are very dry. And it's easy to get distracted because they're so boring. I would recommend checking out the data structures and algorithms section on App Academy Open. It's 100% free. You sign up. I think you can log in with GitHub. This is this is a little nugget here. This is a gem. App Academy Open. Now, the downside is you don't have someone there to answer your questions as you have them. You're probably going to find yourself asking yourself a lot of questions about data structures and algorithms. Find a Discord, find a meetup. You know, wait until the world is functional again to start going to meetups and these in-person things. But find a community. Try and find a mentor. You don't need to have just one. Have multiple mentors. There's someone, one of my subscribers, not DM me, but mentioned in the comments the other week, she was like, you know, I took your advice. I have multiple mentors. There's nothing wrong with having multiple mentors to get different perspectives. And start, you know, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to find a community and find people you can bounce ideas off of, because it's so easy to get in this mindset like, okay, I'm in this little room, I'm learning code, I'm doing my thing. But that's not how real code works. When I went from self-taught to my first job, like first day on the job, night and day difference. I was shocked. I was so overwhelmed. And my heart was just like racing that first week, because I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like, it's almost like listening to an album or listening to an artist that you really like. And then the day comes where you actually meet them. So while you're listening to this music, you have your headphones on, you're like lost in space, you're thinking about what this person might be like or what this band must be like, and having all these ideas in your own little world. And the day comes and you meet that person. It's just like, whoa, it's like someone threw cold water on your face. And it's not how you imagined. And this is I want to say a fleshy interaction. You know, these people breathe, these people code, these people are doing things. This is 3-dimensional, even 4-dimensional, if you want to take it that far. Everything that we do when we're creating applications involves other people. And it's a culture shock in some ways. So the earlier you can get connected with people, whether it's a peer, a mentor, a senior developer, I think the better off you're going to be. It's gonna bring your coding, it's gonna bring your life to another level, because I've heard the term cowboy coder. That's the type of person who just does it their way, no way but their way. It's not a good practice to get into, especially if you're bringing that attitude on the job. You won't last long. So socialize. I know it's hard for so many people, especially because a lot of us are introverts plus. But going to meetups and stuff, I'll talk about it on every live stream. They're just so helpful. Wait until this thing blows over and we can actually go out and meet again. But yeah. Stone B says, which is the #1 skill any developer needs? Finding answers. I put the clap back in for you, Stone B, because that's a great comment. Stone B says only field that combines coding, scripting, networking, and psychology, cybersecurity. Yeah, cybersecurity is really interesting. I'm like one of those people, I don't know, are so many people like this too, where all of this stuff is interesting to you? Because all of it is interesting to me. And in fact, before I even delved and dabbled in web development, I really wanted to be a white hat hacker, aka doing cybersecurity stuff. But it's actually, I would say it's even tougher than software, like than web development. Web development's tough because everything's changing and there's so much crap to learn. That's true with any tech field, I suppose, but web especially because there's this continuous de-evolution and sometimes evolution of technologies. Let's see what we got. Guys, thanks for watching. 79 people in the chat right now. TGIF. We started off the stream with a little bit of a jam, but we recovered. We're back online. We're talking about boot camps, what you need to know about them in 2020. Just to summarize what we've been talking about. Number one, the chat is absolutely lit. Thank you guys for your input, for your comments, for your questions. Some great comments here. Some absolute chestnuts, gems. We have some people who are currently in boot camps. We have 3 people in the same boot camp, 2 of them right now in the chat. Bite Size Magic, also Craig Wadding. We have possibly GC2. We have another person in the chat who has been graduated from a boot camp for over a year, has been living on savings, and is having a struggle finding a job. We have a diverse selection of people who have had experiences with boot camps. And just to come back to the point, this channel is not anti-boot camp. I believe that they can help a lot of people, and I've seen it. I also know that most of them suck. So if you want to know more information, rewind this video because that's what we've been talking about for the last hour and 20 minutes. Okay, let's go to some questions. I think we'll go for another 15 or 20 more minutes, and then I'll let you guys go. It's been a really good stream so far. I've been really enjoying this. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Dwayne Wayne says, I'm interested in Codesmith and App Academy. How about these 2 schools? I've never heard of Codesmith. That doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. Let's check it out. Codesmith. Become a master software engineer. Graduates work at Google, Amazon, LinkedIn, etc. Also, you had mentioned, what was the other one you mentioned? App Academy? The next thing on my to-do list is to actually go to a boot camp as like a third-party observer. I don't know, is that even a term? Just as somebody who can report my findings. Not being sponsored by some boot camp, not being paid by anyone, on using my own money to either go undercover to one of these boot camps. The problem with that is I don't want to spend 8 weeks of my life at a boot camp, so I probably won't go undercover because I don't want to owe them money. So I'd have to have some sort of arrangement. I don't know what kind of boot camp would be willing to do that though, because I'm going to be honest about my findings. Like even if App Academy invited me, you know, I can't 100% vouch for them. I just know they're top tier. I've had a great experience interacting with their director of curriculum, Curtis. We did 4 videos. I enjoyed their free tier, App Academy Open. But as far as like me endorsing App Academy, that's not happening. That's not happening. I don't endorse any boot camp. I did 4 videos with Curtis because they reached out, were like, we really enjoyed your review of App Academy Open. Can we sponsor 4 videos? I was like, you know what? Right on. Other than that, I'm a free agent. I don't work for anyone except myself. And I recommend things that I believe in. So right now, the only thing I can actually recommend is App Academy Open for a boot camp, and that's free, and it doesn't have any teachers, and the community you're going to have to find by yourself. But I cannot endorse any one boot camp. Not until I get more information. Craig Wadding, GC, and Bite Size Magic are all going to Flatiron. So let me ask you Flatironers this. You guys are learning Ruby, right? Are you concerned? Was that a concern for you when you decided to enroll? Was that just something where you're like, you know what, Ruby, were you excited about it? Was it a roadblock, or was it something you're just like, you know what, no worries? Because that is something that I've heard from a few people with some of these boot camps, that they're learning Ruby and Ruby on Rails instead of something like Node, or just going deeper into JavaScript. Let me hear what you think. Here's the one of the App Academy vids RTC just mentioned. Paradoodle, is that the about App Academy Open? Cool. GC the Coder, need me an RTC bootcamp. Dude, that would be awesome. I would love that. I would just, the RTC bootcamp. It would be a bootcamp too. No sloughing. It would top tier. There would be no sloughing off. Gabriella Kwong says Lambda. What about Lambda? Peter says RTC, free agent, baby. Yep. Bite Size Magic. Now, Bite Size is in a boot camp right now that's teaching Ruby, and she says Ruby is prevalent in my area, and you learn OOP anyway, so easier to switch to another language. No concern for me. Great. Great. Craig, also in the same boot camp, says we do Ruby, Rails, React, SQL, and JavaScript. The only place that I suggest is 42 as a boot camp, as I have gone to some events there. That is over the Bleb boot camp that I did attend. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just going back to the fact that most of these... Let's get one thing straight. You are not paying $15,000 for the curriculum, because as I have just illustrated, you can get it right here for free. This is the same curriculum App Academy uses in its entirety. It's over 1,500 hours, y'all. I reviewed this a few months back. It's full stack curriculum, open for all. So you're not paying for some secret information. This is all available online. The reason people go to boot camps is so that it can accelerate their learning. I cannot tell you, unfortunately, how many people I know who have been trying to teach themselves for 2, 3, and 4 years. I know one person who taught themselves for 5 years before able to land a job as a software developer. That's a long time. If you play your cards right, that's going from 0 to just about master's degree. That is a long time, half a decade as a self-taught web developer. And if you can pay someone 15 grand to accelerate that process, turn 5 years of your time struggling into 12 weeks of going crazy but learning this stuff and maybe getting a job, hopefully getting a job, yeah, you're freaking right. I'd cough that money up, 15 grand if I had it, if I could find it, or do the ISA, you know. If it's between this and giving up or doing another year, like, people burn out. People burn out, and I think boot camps, they accelerate the learning, not because of the curriculum, because there's no doubt you've seen most of this curriculum that they're talking about. It's that the instructors generally have been vetted and are able to answer your questions. Also the networking, also the job placement and or their employer network. The good boot camps are connected with employers. Most employers don't want to hire code newbies. Most employers don't want to hire coding bootcamp graduates. But when these boot camps have a hiring network, your chances just went up exponentially. Like boom. They just doubled, tripled, whatever. So this is what they teach you at Lambda. JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Node, React, Python, Redux, SQL. Guys, all of this stuff is available for free. I think everyone knows this by now. So think about your reasons for wanting to go to a boot camp. If you want an accelerated learning path, explore boot camps. But you have to be picky. You have to ask yourself, what are my hopes and dreams? Where do I see myself in 2 or 3 years? If you can see yourself doing this, as a career, then I think absolutely research the boot camps. Ask to talk to some graduates, not just through, if you're talking to one of these recruiters, one of these marketing people on the phone where they're trying to get you to sign up and you say, hey, can I talk to a student? They're gonna connect you with a student shill. They're gonna connect you with someone who had a great experience. Duh, it's their job to convince you to go to their school. Try and find a student, try and find multiple. You can find them on Discord, you can find them on Reddit. There are a few coding bootcamp graduates in my Discord who would be happy to share their experiences. I've had people who had great experiences, okay experiences, and negative experiences. No one can make the decision for you. You have to use your brain. You have to use your brain. You have to investigate, do your due diligence. There's this term in real estate, right? Doing your due diligence. When you're looking at buying a house, it looks good on the outside, it looks good on the inside, but what if there are back taxes due and you don't investigate that? That's called doing your due diligence. You make sure there aren't any back taxes owed. Because what if you buy a house and oopsies, the city just sent you a $20,000 bill because you owe back taxes, and guess what? If you don't pay, people say, oh yeah, I own a house. Really? Try not paying your property tax for a couple years, see what happens. You want to do your due diligence on these boot camps. It's the same concept. Yeah, it looks good on the outside. The pamphlets are glossy. The videos are sharp. The people you talk to are hot. You know, whatever. It's the whole package. The optics are at 100. You want to get past the optics. You want to push past the marketing department and get into the actual environment and see where these students are now. And, you know, company culture, there's something to be said for that. If this is the type of school that just doesn't align with your beliefs and values, it's just not worth it there either. Why are you going to put yourself through 12 weeks of hating it? Because you're going to get triggered or ticked off and stuff, and you know, you don't want that. There are plenty of boot camps to go around. You gotta do your research. So let's check out the comments, and then I'm going to log off. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Bite Size Magic says, for me, the reason I went to Flatiron was the community, Slack and local. So even though I'm attending online, there are a lot of meetups and networking I can attend. That's great, because that's kind of an immersive thing. If you can immerse yourself in this, you're going to be ahead of the game. Not just doing it for 2 hours, but eat, sleep, breathe this stuff. And having that community, that's value too. That's money. Idea, you could find a small group of people at the same level of coding and pair programming together using the App Academy curriculum, working together and make projects. Boom! That's a great creative idea. And you can get creative with this stuff too. You know, I think a big problem is just finding a person that you can bounce ideas off and building trust with a stranger. I mean, it's hard, right? Like, there are a lot of people out there who want to learn, but they have to be a good match with you. They have to be in a good time, you know, time zones that mesh. They have to have a personality that meshes with yours. You don't have to agree on everything, but there has to be that, you know, you got to get along. You don't have to be BFFs, but if you're like arguing and stuff all the time, that's not a good match. You know, so finding someone on your level, a coding partner who can hold you accountable and you can hold that person accountable, that's a great idea too. Thanks for the comment on that. Get creative with some of this curriculum and find someone you can bounce the ideas off of. All right, developers, any other comments or questions? Because I'm wrapping it up. Savage Scientist, thank you for the super chat. If you guys tuned in today, which if you're listening to this, you did tune in. So I appreciate you. We're going to be doing some more live streams. Hopefully they will be uninterrupted. But if they are, you know, life happens. Guys, I want to do these live streams. I think they're a blast. But I am no daily 24/7 hour live streamer. Just trying to do it more. Get your guys' opinions on things and feed you some information and chat. So yeah, I think this is it. Justin says, anybody want to do that App Academy curriculum together? Yeah, if you guys are interested in forming some study groups or whatever, come to the RTC Discord. There are also many other Discords. You don't have to come to mine. What I do like about mine is that it's mine. And more importantly, the people there are really cool. I'm there throughout the day. I try to be just to hang out. I really enjoy your guys' company. I enjoy chatting with you and learning more about your coding journey. Notice, this is not an event. This is a journey. Thanks, guys, for watching. Developers, take it easy. Danielle says, thanks so much for the stream, RTC. You're very welcome, Danielle. Thanks for tuning in. Beverly, to Justin, shout out to everybody. Everybody gets love in this stream today. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.